Next, I request Subhashish and Jane to felicitate the Minister Sir with Lane Buang, one of the first pattern that Mizo weavers created, and indicate intricate details of which are said to be designed after the trunks of a banyan tree having rich cultural influence. Thank you, students. Now we have Gaurav and Selyu, who are presenting a necktie, an embroidery and design of which represented the Mao community of Nagaland. Thank you, students. Thank you, students. Now we would start with a small cultural program by students of GNLU. First, we have a composition by Bharat Ratna, late Dr. Bhupendra Hazarika from Assam by Debarga, Mansi and Ajay. This will be followed by a semi-classical rendition by Rama.
Hello.
Made the environment very light. Now we are moving towards the program for felicitation of our distinguished alumni of GNLU by Honorable Minister Sir. I request Dr. Sarobhanan, Head Alumni Affairs, to take over.
Thank you so much, Hardik sir. On behalf of the Department of Alumni Relations, I welcome Sri Kiren Rijiju sir, Sri Rajendra Trivedi sir, for being the graces this occasion. I would like to request some of the alumni, those who have done distinguished work in the legal field and other non-legal field, but they are making us proud, to be felicitated for today's event. So I'll request each one of them by calling their names. First name is Devarsi Patel, who has been a graduate from 1249 batch, and at present he is also associated with the activities in setting up his own business enterprise, Mocha and Craft Villages, and also take up lots of pro bono activities for and lots of pro bono activities for providing legal aid to the needy ones and also helping the school children by access to the education. Now we have Jeet Jain Bhatt, who is a practicing advocate at Gujarat High Court, and also he has been impaneled as standing counsel for the office of the Officer Liquidator in the High Court of Gujarat, and also has been appointed as a panel advocate with the High Court of Legal Service Committee, rendering free legal service to the marginalized section of society. Now we have Mr. Konak Rai. Konak Rai, who is an alumni from 2005-10 batch, and after graduation he worked with the United Nations Department of Peacekeeping Operation Geneva, and at present also is working with the different projects with governments of India enterprise like NSG, ISRO, National Security Guards, Border Security Force, Intelligence Bureau, on providing the legal assistance to these organizations, and also signing up the MOU with the GNLU for setting up the policy think tank on asymmetric threats, legal welfare aspect of national security, and other statements of security forces. Now we have Vikrant Pasnanda, who is a graduate from 6-12-6-11 batch, and at present he is working as a partner at Fox and Mandal, Delhi. He has also associated with the work with
certain priorities in my mind. As a nation, we are growing, and we are growing very fast. And you all know India is today the fastest large economy growing in the world. We are ranked 5th, but we are growing fast. And as a large economy, which is growing very fast, we must have a legal system which must meet the requirement of the time. I know we have many challenges. As a nation with ancient thoughts and practices, with modern outlook, we have many challenges. And I'm sure during the course of your stay in this university, you will come out as a great lawyers. Good universities are important to have good students, and good law students will make good lawyers and good judges. I know when we talk about quality judges, because I am involved in the process of the appointment of the judges, we look for people who could be very appropriate to be considered as judges. And for that, to become a successful and a good judge, first of all, you have to be a good lawyer. How do we get brilliant, qualified? Legal education has been an issue which is being debated and discussed for a long, long time. And as I'm speaking to you, we meet certain standards which has been set across the globe. At the same time, we must also see a responsive judicial system in our country. Judiciary as part of an organs of our state. We have 3 important organs: the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. The executive and legislature are functioning in a way which is being prescribed in the Constitution of India. If we go away from the spirit enshrined in the Constitution, there is judiciary to ensure that we fall into line. Even some of the laws made by the Parliament are being struck down by the judiciary. All the actions of the executive are scrutinized closely by judiciary. Now the question is, when there are questions raised against the conduct of the judiciary, when there is a question posed to the judiciary for certain judgments, orders and decrees, where do we go, what do we do? There are certain big questions before us which require deliberations, which require active consideration from every sectors of the society, from the business community, from the students community. from the industrialists, farmers, everybody. So when I interact with the judiciary, I must be equipped with fully the sentiments of different sections of the society. Now the law universities are the breeding ground where we can have those intense discussions and deliberations. And I'm sure your university is in the forefront, and I would be looking forward to a brief interaction with you. I would expect some lively interaction. As I said, I will not be teaching you the law, but I will reflect what is in the minds of the Government of India and what are the different actions and steps being initiated. One of the issues which I just want to briefly touch upon is we are very worried about the pendency of cases in our country. When I took over this ministry, the pendency was just about 4.5 crore. Today it has crossed 4.8 crore. It is nearing 5 crore. Now it is a situation which no country has faced in the world. Firstly, no country is as big as India except China, which is not a democratic nation. The kind of cases dealt by the judiciary, the amount of pressure which is coming to the judiciary are immense. Many people may feel that why the judiciary is not able to dispose of the cases much faster, much speedier. Some people may even say that judges are not functioning well. Judges are more taking leaves, going on vacation rather than discharging their judicial duties. There are many questions being raised. As a democratic nation, questions should be raised. But the issues are complex. It's not as easy as someone look at it. Now, one of the method and one of the way forward to reduce the pendency is the alternative dispute resolution mechanism. We have Arbitration Act passed by the Parliament. I have introduced in the last session the mediation bill, which I am hopeful in the coming winter session of the Parliament I should be able to push through this mediation bill, because arbitration and mediation are old concept in India. There's nothing new for us. But how do we utilize in settling the disputes? Why should petty cases go to the regular court? The litigation process is a bit technical. At times it's difficult for the common man to reach to the court. Sometimes Supreme Court becomes too far away from the common man. I have been saying this. Supreme Court is the Supreme Court of India. Why should it confine to some privileged lawyers and people living in Delhi or affluent society in our country? I mean, high courts and Supreme Courts must be as accessible to anybody as it is accessible to the privileged people. At the same time, we must open the door for the alternative dispute resolution mechanism. That is why I want all the young lawyers to be engaged. The lawyers should not be jobless. The lawyers must be fully occupied. Lawyers must earn good money. The lawyers must become prosperous. But at the same time, the lawyers also should follow the principles of pro bono. I want our lawyers to devote your time and your knowledge should be served for the people. I mean, when I see young lawyers going to the villages, far-flung areas of our country, giving legal aids, legal awareness to the people, it gives immense satisfaction to all of us. So the Telelaw program launched by the Department of Justice, the pro bono concept, which is very well known to you, which is now well spread around the different parts of the country. Nyay Bandhu, which we have initiated, are going very well. The NALSA programs, the National Legal Services Authority, which has its state units and their units in districts and talukas, they are functioning very well. And wherever I go, I ensure that the High Court Chief Justice and the judges of the High Courts and the lower courts participate in the legal services functions. And I feel nice when the Supreme Court Chief Justice of India, the Supreme Court judges, the High Court judges, with the Law Minister, we travel together to the field and meet the people. It creates immense impact, and people's faith in the system remains intact. The justice should not be a dream for common people. And I always stress that the gap between justice and the common man must be reduced to the minimum extent possible. One should not struggle to get justice, and the judiciary also should not struggle to deliver justice. We must be able to deliver justice at the doorsteps of the common people. That must be the idea of everybody. So there are many things to say, but it will be sheer killing of the precious time. I would rather prefer to give space to you and seek your opinions, your observations and questions, and to some extent I would try to justify by responding to your queries and questions. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request students who have any questions, we have mics there. You can just give them. Yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Anand Vardhan, and first of all, I am delighted to inform you that we both share the same alumni base. You have studied from RKM, ALO, and I have studied from Ramakrishna Mission, Devghar. This was informed to me by General Secretary Maharaj Swami Subirananji. So, sir, basically my question revolves around, like in 2015, when the NJC Act was struck down by the Supreme Court. So, is there any plan in the minds of Government of India in the near future to deal with the collegium system or to reintroduce the NJC Act?
If I answer to your question in yes and no, it is going to be a very big headline. So I can say in this way, we are not happy with the decision of the Supreme Court, but finally we have to accept the decision of the highest court of our country. But that doesn't close the door. The Parliament has, in its own wisdom, has all the authorities to come back and enact the same law or modified, amended law. Nowhere in the world judges appoint judges. It is only in India where a collegium system is in place and judges are appointed. Before 1993, as per the provisions in the Constitution of India, the Union of India, that is the Rashtrapati, appoints the judges of High Courts and Supreme Court in consultation with the Chief Justice of India. In 1993, the first judge's case, the consultation word was defined to this extent only, as concurrence. And since then, the Supreme Court felt that consultation means concurrence. Without the concurrence of the Supreme Court, in this context, the collegium, government should not go ahead with the appointment of the judges. So, the collegium system is in place. The names are sent. If the names are for the High Courts, the collegium sends the name to the Law Minister and the Law Minister processes ahead. For the Supreme Court judges, the Supreme Court Collegium sends the name to the Law Minister and the process begins. We feel that judges must focus all their time and energy in judicial matter. Appointment of judges is purely an administrative matter. But we definitely would like to have consultation process with the judiciary. That is why in the NJSC there was provision where the Chief Justice of India, 2 senior judges, the Law Minister and 2 eminent persons were part of that committee which were to look into the appointment of the judges. However, the decision was struck down. I must tell you this much, that many retired judges of the Supreme Court, many judges who are still serving, are informally telling me and the government that NJSC was the best option and government must take steps to bring it back. Now I am not giving any definite word here because it's very sensitive, and government will definitely consider any steps in due course of time which is in the interest of the judiciary, in the interest of the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Namaste, sir. Since you said that lawyers should earn good amount of money, what role do you think the government can play in increasing the average income of people, lawyers who are involved in litigation and not in the corporate field?
The income of the lawyers is directly related to the prosperity in the society. As the country grows, the litigation will come, more cases will come into your hands, and also there will be lots of issues where the services of the lawyers will be required. As I said, other than the conventional system, we have to look for the other methodologies. We will have lots of good mediators, good arbitrators and conciliators. So definitely we want our lawyers to do well, not only in profession but in terms of their economic progress. And as the country is moving forward, I'm sure the demands for lawyers will be corresponding to the growth of the nation. And whenever I see young lawyers, I feel that these young lawyers must be engaged as soon as they pass out from the law colleges. I have started some internship in my ministry also, and some of the smart lawyers, they came, they benefited. I have not interacted with them yet, but my officers, Secretary Justice, Legal Affairs, Secretary Legislative Department and other senior officers are talking to them, and I'm told that the young interns are very impressed and they feel it's very beneficial. So likewise, the state government can start, the big corporate houses can start with engaging the young lawyers. Now the young budding lawyers from the universities, the moment you come out, definitely you would like to be engaged. And for you, we have created platforms, we will create a conducive atmosphere so that the future for the lawyers remains very bright.
Hello, Pranam sir. Sir, my question is that actually we live in a secular country, and by secular I mean that state does not interfere in the matter of the religion, and if at all, then it will treat all the religion equally. So sir, I want to know your views that how far do you think that it is justified that state control over the religious temple of the Indic culture, sir? And if at all it is not justified, then what role you play in removing that particular aspect, sir? And on the same line, sir, I think that not every matter should be given to the judiciary, just like the Place of Worship Act 1991, sir. These matters can be dealt amicably, sir, in the parliament. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. See, as a matter of principle, there should be minimum presence of government in the life of the citizens. That is the principle on which we are moving, especially our government under the leadership of Narendra Modi ji. We are also removing all the unnecessary compliances from the life of the people. All the rules and regulations which put burden on the common people are removed. We are also removing all the obsolete laws from the statute books. Now, with regards to religious activities, same principle flows. Why should government regulate or why should government control all this kind of religious activities of the people? The only issue is whenever there are some setup, there are certain bodies, certain institutions which require some kind of intervention to prevent any kind of chaotic situation which will emerge in the absence of any regulation or government control. That has to be seen, because maintenance of law and order is important for the society. Whenever there are conflicts within different sects or religious groups, government cannot be a silent spectator. So to that extent, government will interfere. But our thought process is very simple. We will get away from all kind of government roles which has been there in the past, which are totally unnecessary and uncalled for. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Bhavani Jha from second year BLLB. So, sir, my question is that right now you talked about the pendency of cases and what is the alternative to that, and you talked about the ADR mechanism. But if you look at the current situation, ADR is more day by day becoming to the people, to the affluent society, like classes of the society. So when the people from the lower strata cannot get justice, the easy justice, when there are courts in session, district court, they are not working properly. How do you expect, or what is your opinion to make them aware that, okay, this is, if there is a case which is not solving, which is not even heard, how do you expect the ADR to work for them? So it's what I'm not completely aware, but what I feel is that day by day, it's the upper class, it's the upper strata of the society who are availing the justice at easy, but the people who belong to the lower strata are facing problem not just at the district courts, but let me say the High Court and the Supreme Court. So what is the reason behind this and how these needs to be tackled?
A very important point you have raised. See, when I related the ADR with the pendency of cases, there's just one aspect. When I talk about pendency as such, it requires different kind of attention, like utilizing the technology in faster delivery of justice. There are many more things, appointment of judges, strengthening the judicial system, the infrastructure. There are so many issues. But I was just referring to ADR because ADR can be a good avenue for the lawyers in the future. So when I talk about pendency and the justice for the common man, you have struck the right chord. More affluent people engage better lawyers. They have better mechanism to get closer to the justice. That is why if you have, I'm not sure you all follow my statesman observations, I have been very categorical in my dealings with the judiciary. Judiciary should not be seen to be giving priorities to the affluent society. Now, there are questions like why some of the matters get easily listed in Supreme Court. That is why I talked about why Supreme Court should not be for people staying in Delhi or the rich people staying around the country. Some of the cases, like in Allahabad High Court, some criminal cases are pending for last 2 decades more, 25 years, 30 years. They never get the dates. I have recently talked to the Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court that create some mechanism where you pick up some old cases, maybe randomly, maybe given some yardsticks to that, you can definitely do something. But pendency is one of the issues. Now, fill up the pendency is another issue, which is related to the appointment of the judges. I want to fill up all the vacancies in the country. But lower judiciary is by the high courts and the state government. I cannot interfere in that. For high courts and the Supreme Court, definitely I am responsible. But I can clear only the names come to me. If good names come to me, if the High Court Collegium sends a bad name, and if government strongly feels that he is not worthy of being considered as a judge, then I have to do some due diligence to ensure that there is some application of mine. Now, courts do not have the apparatus like the government. We have the intelligence sources, we have all the informations and inputs which the judges don't have. So that is why pendency of the vacancies, cases, these are all related. Now, the crucial point and the most important is how the most downtrodden people get closer to the justice. That is the main question, and I am also focusing on that. We will ensure that through the legal ads and awareness, through the push which we are giving through the Lok Adalats, mobile van, court, we go to the people and hear out the cases, decide the cases on the spot. These days when I go for some legal ads and awareness camps, I ensure that I in advance tell the High Court judges, please let some Lok Adalats and something happen there. When I go there, I must ask the district judge and the lower judiciary that how many cases you have handled on the spot. So these kind of proactive campaign initiatives are helping out. And I'm happy that it is bringing result. But I worry more because the pendency rate is more. Now some of the judges are handling 50, 60 cases per day, which is unheard of things for the rest of the world. The Indian judges work so hard. But the pendency is rising because if you settle 50 cases, there are 100 cases coming up every day, new cases are piling up. So the pendency is rising. So the common people suffer. And that is where my greatest focus is to ensure that no common man should lose trust in judiciary. Yeah? Okay. चलिए एक who is
Good evening, sir, and welcome to Gujarat National Law University. Sir, my name is Tarun, and I'm an assistant professor here at GNLU. My question is more about your vision when it comes to sports law in this country. You have held both the portfolios right now as a law minister, and you were a sports minister. What is your vision and what is your expectation from an institute like GNLU when it comes to sports law?
See, sports law is something, a new concept in India. Some countries have enacted sport laws. They have some strict mechanism in enforcing the regulations about the sports. Now, in India, like Kerala, they have an act related to the sports. There were some suggestions which came to me when I was the Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports, that central government must enact a law. But at that time I thought the National Sports Court was enough to govern the Indian sports. Because sports bodies are independent by its own action. They frame their own rules for the sports, for the game. They have certain things which are guided by the international committees. And Olympic movement is all about independence, free from the government interference. And all the sports bodies are basically guided and controlled by the international bodies. The court action and the government actions are at times treated as third-party interference. Recently, the FIFA had banned All India Football Federation. I had to intervene. I will not disclose in detail, but I had to intervene because we had to save Indian sports, Indian football. India was to host the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. And just before that, India was banned. And thereby, India was suspended and India was not in a position to hold the World Cup. So I have to intervene. I explained to the Supreme Court. Then through my law officers, the Attorney General and the Solicitor General, we conveyed the message that this order of the Supreme Court is treated as third-party interference, thereby India has put under suspension. Now, sports laws are important, but we need much more deliberation. Now, we have Anti-Doping Act, you must be aware of that. We must have sports administration being controlled by certain mechanism. Right now, it is being controlled by, not controlled actually, guided by National Sports Code. National Sports Code 2011 is elaborate, but it needs some review. When I wanted to review it, the pandemic had really disturbed my tenure, especially the last phase. So I could not carry forward some of my ideas because of the pandemic. But later on my portfolio got shifted. But still, as a sports lover, I'm so much in touch with the stakeholders in the sporting fraternity. And in future, yes, we can give a thought about it, but presently it may not be right time to enact a law about sports, whether in the central level or state level.